If you had unlimited power in front of you, to the point where you could see through time and ultimately affect it, would you risk everything to have the life that you wanted? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panel's text and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now, as much as some of you want the Watchmen story left alone, DC has made a before Watchmen thing that is in the history of the Watchmen now. Enjoy these stories for what they are, as they do retcon a few things within the main Watchmen storyline. They are good, and it just comes back to the argument of whether or not DC should have left The Watchmen alone. For those of you who don't know what's going on, The Watchmen is a classic storyline within the comic books that DC is implying will be joining the DC Universe with DC Rebirth. For a bunch of information on it, I'll link our overview video down below, but for right now, we'll be exploring the bonus story for Dr. Manhattan presented in Before Watchmen. It gives you a bit of insight into his actions within the original story, but if you're completely new, Dr. Manhattan is the only superpowered being in this universe, and to put it simply, he has the power of a god. He was a man originally. The original story is written in the tone of Dr. Manhattan, but I was having some problems getting that to fit in our video format, so I had to make some changes to the lines to allow it to fit. Be aware, it may sound out of character at times, but that was alterations that I had to make, not the original story. I watch as a box containing a mystery is lowered into the soil. Of those attending, I'm the only one who understands that all boxes are mysteries containing universes. Germany, August 14th, 1938. I'm 9 years old. I am unwrapping a birthday present for my father. Quantum physics states that as long as the box is closed, it could contain anything, in any state of existence. A cat, a stuffed bear, a baseball mitt. But in this universe, an elegant clock was in that box. My father said that it was to help me understand the weight and power of time. August 20th, 1959. I'm entering the test chamber in the intrinsic field center. I assume that I have time to get my coat. I'm wrong. 1 second becomes 0. The present is wrapped. What's inside the box? Accidents happen, except they don't. So why am I what I am? May 12th, 1959. Professor Glass is welcoming me to the Gila Flats. He walks John around the facility, showing him around the building, the one that would change everything with their experiments. But at the same time, John is staring at a derelict facility. A different time, a different place. He can see every moment in between and the moments that never happened. Sliding up and down the time stream, still a quantum observer. 1966. The first meeting of the Crime Busters is happening, and various superheroes are standing around. In this moment, John can't help but look at the young Silk Spectre, Laurie. Janie, his wife, wasn't happy. The individual in charge pulls out slips of paper from a box. What's in the box? With a slightest nudge in the time stream, John was able to alter everything, change it all. The slip of paper displaying his partner no longer reads Rorschach. It reads Silk Spectre. At that moment, a new quantum universe of events and possibilities is created, born in the split of what might have been and what now is. In that instant, the future John that would have worked with Rorschach is gone. The one that worked with Laurie, that loved Laurie, remained. Janie wanted to go home. She wasn't happy with how John was looking at Laurie, the Silk Spectre. She knew John did something, altered something, so that he would be assigned to her. John looked at her. No. In this quantum reality, I have always been paired with her tonight. I love you, Janie. The statement is true, but it is utterly beside the point. The first gear is turning, and it has set into motion all of the actions. August 1959. They told his father that John Osterman was dead. My father insisted that they need to find the parts to repair me. November 10th, 1959. A system of human nerves is seen forming. November 14th, 1959. A human muscular system is seen forming. On my father's deathbed, I have come to tell him goodbye, but he is in tears that he has lost his son. He isn't wrong. I am not John. John became me. What's in the box? I have never tried to extend my consciousness into my past, though, to experience those moments instead of living in dead memories. I push backwards through the moments held together like pearls on a string. Janie, Laurie, the Minutemen, father. Closer and closer to the moment of my birth in the fires of the test chamber. I feel resistance, but I push through it anyway. John walks with himself to the test chamber, to the moment he becomes what he is, a man of possibilities. He watches himself walking into the test chamber, the day that everything changed, and he looks at the timer that shuts the door. Accidents happen, except this one doesn't happen. What's inside the box? I should be in this box. Except in this moment, I am not. So where am I? Why am I? A new quantum reality is formed. One where John exits the facility with the watch that was in his coat pocket. But the watch is broken, again, even though he fixed it. It was a gift for Janie, the watch that was broken on their first date. John went home and then took Janie out to where he proposed. While Dr. Manhattan watched his own life unfolding around him, one where accidents don't happen, he watched himself go to his own wedding. And when he went to see Janie, he was given a choice. Is she behind the left door or the right door? Endless possibilities. If he chooses the left, events will be set into motion across the world in which the comedian is involved, and it ends with the end of the world, destruction of all through nuclear war. If he chooses the right, events are set into motion across the world in which Ozymandias is involved, and there is no nuclear holocaust. So he pushes himself to pick the right door, telling Janie that he got the answer correct. And she asks him, what if she was behind both doors? As they leave, she asks him, does he want the first or the last dance at the reception? Both possibilities play out for Dr. Manhattan to see. But it all ends in Nixon picking to attack first and start the nuclear war. Life is filled with possibilities. Red wine, not white. Which movie should we see? Fifth floor, not the fourth floor. Sorry I'm late. Sorry I'm early. First dance or last dance. But all paths lead to the end of the world, to nuclear war. The whole thing revolves around the same theory as Schrödinger's cat. You see, in the theory, you place a cat into a box with a device that has 50% chance to release a poisonous gas into that box. Then you stand next to the box, and until you open it, you don't know if the cat is alive or dead. In theory, the cat is both until you open the box. Because even if you think you know the answer, you don't truly know it until you open the box. As the individual is telling him the theory of Schrödinger's cat, John takes a bite of his meal as this is explained, and he asks, what if you don't open the box? The gentleman there explains, the theory holds that the longer you don't look into the box, unanticipated factors begin to alter the results. Random quantum possibilities and pocket universes, all of which are equally real, all jockeying for the moment that the box is opened, and all of those realities are collapsed into one, as perceived by the quantum observer. John is in the box right now, and in every possible quantum reality, there is a nuclear war, and everyone dies. John asks himself, is this what I have become? What have I done? For I am death, the destroyer of worlds. Robert Oppenheimer, director of the Manhattan Project. John looks at himself in the endless quantum realities that he has created with his splintering of reality. I am Legion. He thinks about these events and he comes to the realization that there is only one way for so many realities to exist and continually splinter. At some point, John himself has become the quantum observer. At some point in the time stream, John touched or saw something that tore the quantum reality and created another timeline from that point. Looking at a photo of himself and Janie, John knows when it was. The moment that he nudged the slip of paper to say Laurie and not Rorschach. He assumed that he erased the other reality, the one in which he worked with Rorschach. But in fact, he created two timelines, two quantum realities. One where he teamed up with Rorschach and one where it was Silk Spectre. He thinks back to when he was in Germany in 1939. How his father tried to get both John and his mother out of the country, and his mother made the choice to try and fight as they were stopped. She died protecting John and his father was telling him this story one day as a way to demonstrate that you can't control the world. At the moment that she jumped off of the wagon to sacrifice herself, she gave up every free choice that she was going to make with her life for them to have those choices in the future instead of her. John thinks on this. As a clock repairman, his father would say that there is nothing so broken that you cannot fix it, and thus, John decides that the only way to reunite the timelines is to make one timeline in which the quantum reality can exist, and he has to erase all of his own choices. The irony of which is not lost on him. He is the most powerful being in the universe, and he can do anything. But for the world to be what it needs to be, what must be done, John has to sacrifice his own free will. So they can all have the choices. So he begins to go back in time, correcting every possibility, so that there is only one timeline which he can exist in. His father pushed him into atomic science as he saw it as the future. He let Janie buy him his first beer. He brought her to the amusement park for their first date. Everything happened as it should. And when he enters the test chamber where the birth of Dr. Manhattan happens, he ensures that it goes as planned. And at that moment, John can see himself in all of the possibilities. And as he is torn apart molecule by molecule, he tells himself, do not be afraid. That funeral that John found himself at, he was at again. It is his own funeral, and they are burying an empty box. There is nothing in the box. Everything should be working, and it should be correct. Yet John feels that something is wrong. He goes to see the hero Ozymandias to ask him. He explains everything, all of the timelines that he created and how he destroyed them all. At the end of his tale, Ozymandias asks him, what does all of this have to do with him though? John explains that once he was done, there was a single timeline, one quantum reality. But something is wrong. Something is there that wasn't before. He can no longer see the future. There is a static preventing him from seeing it clearly. Ozymandias asks him, could this be a massive energy discharge from the future? Perhaps a nuclear war or the end of the world? Doomsday? John looks out the window. Yes, I thought I'd caught all of the possibilities in which the world ended in nuclear fire. But if this one got through, if it ends the same way because of my mistakes, I have placed myself into a box, and I fear that if I continue to try and alter the timeline to save it, I will undo all that I have done to fix it. I have surrendered my freedom for all of time. As the only man on the planet capable of understanding my dilemma, the decision must be yours, Ozymandias. You must figure out a way to stop Doomsday. Ozymandias looks at him. I can help. The events of Watchmen begin at this point, with Ozymandias setting into motion some events that some would consider insane and others would praise him for. But this is a tale for another day. Did he prevent nuclear war and save this quantum reality? Yes. The price may have been high, and now we go to the end of the story. John informs Ozymandias that he is leaving the planet. Ozymandias asks him why, telling him that he has regained his interest in human life. John tells him, yes, I have. I think I'll create some. Goodbye, Adrian. Ozymandias asks him, John, I did the right thing, didn't I? It all worked out in the end? In the end, nothing ends, Adrian. Nothing ever ends. And John vanishes. He lands on a faraway planet where he picks up the soil and he charges it with energy to accelerate evolution. He drops it into the water and he tells himself, I cannot wait to see what this new box reveals. Perhaps something amazing, and perhaps we can be amazing together. I would like that very much. And that concludes Before Watchmen, Dr. Manhattan. Now we're going to be doing the Before Watchmen storylines all the way up until we do Watchmen. I figured we should do before we actually do Watchmen. But what did you guys think of this? I feel it's a much deeper comic than we typically do here on Comic Storian. And I hope I helped you understand what was happening. We really tried to break it down so you would be able to follow along, but I don't know if I got it right. Let me know what you think of this story and the Before Watchmen concept and ideas. And if you want to see more Watchmen storylines, concepts, and ideas, subscribe to this channel. Don't forget, you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and we can talk about all of the quantum realities and the possibilities that are out there for all of us.